It wasn't Lex Luthor. It wasn't Doomsday. It wasn't even Darkseid. The man who dared to go toe-to-toe with Superman was Nightwing. Yeah, the former sidekick. The acrobat in blue. The kid Batman raised in the shadows of Gotham, now standing against the Man of Steel himself. And when it happened, it shook the Justice League to its very core. Before we jump into this wild story of loyalty, betrayal, and impossible choices, hit that subscribe button, because this is one battle you'll never forget. It began quietly. A whisper in the dark. A ripple through the hero community. Metropolis was changing. Superman had been growing colder, more distant. Ever since Lois's death. Yes, that death. Something in him had cracked. He still saved lives. Still smiled for cameras. But behind that symbol of hope was rage. Rage at a world that kept breaking. And when he started enforcing peace, with force, the cracks became earthquakes. He outlawed lethal weapons. He shut down governments corrupted by greed. He even arrested heroes who didn't follow his new code of order. To the public, Superman was saving humanity from itself. But to those who knew him, he was crossing a line he could never come back from. In Gotham, Nightwing watched the news in silence. He'd been here before. He'd seen what happens when power twists into obsession. He'd watched Batman fall into that darkness more than once. But Superman, he was supposed to be different. So Dick Grayson made a choice, one that would change everything. He would stop Superman, even if it meant standing alone. Now, let's make one thing clear. Nightwing isn't just some gymnast in a mask. He's one of the most skilled combatants on Earth. Trained by Batman, mentored by the Titans, and respected by gods. But still, this is Superman. A being who can level mountains with a flick of his wrist. So why did Nightwing think he could win? Because he didn't plan to fight with strength. He planned to fight with strategy. A week before their confrontation, Superman made his biggest move yet, dismantling Arkham Asylum and declaring that every criminal inside would be relocated to a new rehabilitation facility in the Fortress of Solitude. Translation? He was imprisoning them himself. No trials. No system. Just his judgment. Nightwing saw that for what it was, tyranny in a cape. He tried reasoning with him first. He went to Metropolis, walked right into the Daily Planet rooftop, where Superman stood alone, staring down at the city. "Clark," Dick said quietly, "this isn't you." Superman didn't look away. "The world doesn't need Batman's paranoia or your optimism anymore. It needs order." "You mean control? If that's what it takes to stop another Metropolis from burning, then yes." And that was it. The line in the sand. That night, the Justice League held a meeting, and the tension was nuclear. Wonder Woman sided with Superman. She believed the world needed strength, not compromise. The Flash hesitated. He'd seen both sides of justice and didn't want another civil war. Batman. He didn't show up. But everyone could feel his presence in the shadows. And Nightwing? He stood, calm but firm. Superman's not saving the world. He's ruling it. And someone has to stop him. 2 nights later, Superman made the first move. He arrived in Bloodhaven, Nightwing's city, faster than sound. The wind alone shattered glass as he landed. "You're standing in my way, Dick," he said, eyes glowing red. "And you're proving me right," Nightwing replied. For a heartbeat, the world held its breath. Then Superman took a step forward. Nightwing didn't flinch. He just smiled, that same confident, reckless grin he used to wear beside Batman. "Then hit me." The first strike was a blur of motion. Superman swung, and Nightwing wasn't there. He rolled, redirected, used his Eskrima sticks charged with red sun energy, Batman's contingency plan, of course. The rods connected, a crackle of energy, a brief flare of pain across Superman's jaw. It wasn't enough to stop him, but it made him feel. That was the point. Nightwing wasn't trying to beat Superman. He was trying to wake him up. But Superman didn't want to wake up. Not anymore. He moved faster. Harder. Every blow sending shockwaves through the streets. Nightwing dodged, parried, flipped, using every ounce of skill to stay alive. The city's power grid flickered. Police sirens wailed in the distance. But all that mattered was the fight. The sound of thunder on pavement. The clash of ideals turned physical. "Why are you doing this, Dick?" Superman shouted, his voice shaking the air. Because someone has to remind you who you are. For a moment, their eyes met. And Superman hesitated. Just for a second. NightWing used it. Leapt high, landing a direct strike to the side of Superman's head. It didn't hurt him much, but it angered him. Superman grabbed him mid-spin, slammed him into a wall. Stone cracked. NightWing gasped. Ribs, maybe broken. Enough! Superman roared. You're just a man. Exactly, NightWing spat back. And that's why you need to listen. That single line, it cut deeper than kryptonite. Because somewhere, beneath all that rage and grief, Clark Kent, the man, not the god, heard it. And it hurt. But pain and pride don't mix well. Superman's heat vision flared, just for a second, before he stopped himself. He looked down at his hands, at the ruin around them, at his friend bleeding on the ground. And he realized he wasn't saving anyone tonight. Without another word, Superman shot into the sky, gone in a flash of light, leaving NightWing alone beneath the broken skyline of Bloodhaven. He didn't win that night, but he didn't lose, either, because he'd done what no one else dared. He'd made Superman doubt himself. And that doubt would fester, because when gods start questioning their purpose, the world burns. The next morning, the world woke up to chaos. Every news channel showed it. Blurry footage of Superman and NightWing clashing in the streets of Bloodhaven. Two heroes, two legends, and one impossible question. Who was right? Superman claimed NightWing interfered with an authorized operation. NightWing said Superman violated every law he swore to protect. And the Justice League? They were split in half. This wasn't just a fight anymore. It was a war of beliefs. For days, Superman vanished. No one knew where he went, not even Wonder Woman. But the world could feel him watching. Satellites picked up energy flares near the Fortress of Solitude. And word spread fast. Superman was building something. Meanwhile, in Gotham, Batman called a meeting, a private one. Just the ones he trusted most. NightWing, Oracle, the Flash, Green Arrow. And when they gathered in that dimly lit cave, Batman didn't waste time. Clark's gone too far, he said, voice low, almost heavy. We need to contain him. Contain. Flash repeated. He's Superman, Bruce. You can't contain a god. Batman's eyes narrowed. Then we remind him he's still a man. That was when he revealed it. A plan years in the making. Not one of those just-in-case contingency files. This was something deeper. Darker. He called it Protocol Red Light, a weapon built from a fusion of red sun radiation, magic, and psychic dampeners. It couldn't kill Superman, but it could break his connection to the solar energy that made him who he was. NightWing listened in silence. He didn't want to fight Clark again, but after what he'd seen in Bloodhaven, he knew they might have no choice. Bruce, he said finally, if we do this, we cross a line we can't uncross. Batman didn't look up. He just said, he already did. Meanwhile, in the Arctic silence of his fortress, Superman stared into a holographic recording, Lois Lane's voice echoing through the cold. Clark, you can't save everyone, but you can inspire them. He paused the playback. His hands trembled. For a second, his eyes softened. Then he turned to the console and continued building. He wasn't creating a weapon. He was building a world. A new orbiting station, the Watchtower 2.0, designed not for heroes, but for control. Every nation, every city, every threat would be monitored and judged from above. By him. To Superman, it wasn't tyranny. It was mercy. A week later, Protocol Red Light was ready. Batman handed the device to NightWing. Only use it if there's no other option, he warned. NightWing nodded. He didn't say it out loud, but deep down, he was praying he wouldn't have to. Because how do you fight someone you once looked up to? Someone who used to be the symbol of everything good? The confrontation happened sooner than anyone expected. Superman appeared in Gotham, floating above the Wayne Enterprises tower like an angel of judgment. He wasn't here to talk. He was here to issue an ultimatum. Gotham will comply with the new peace charter, he said, voice echoing through the city speakers. No masks. No vigilantes. No exceptions. And that's when Batman and NightWing stepped out of the shadows together. The crowd below gasped. It was like watching the gods of old prepare for war. "Clark," Batman said through the comms, "you're crossing into dangerous territory." "I'm already there," Superman replied, eyes glowing red. "You trained your soldiers to fight monsters. Now you're defending them." "This isn't justice," Batman said. "It's fear. Fear keeps people alive," Superman shot back. "You of all people should understand that." Nightwing finally stepped forward. "Fear doesn't make people better, Clark. It just makes them obedient." For a second, Superman's expression shifted. Sorrow, regret, then anger. "You still don't get it. I'm doing this for you." And then, the world went silent. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. Because in that moment, Superman blinked, and Nightwing vanished from sight. He'd moved. Fast. Batman's voice cracked through the calm. "Now." Nightwing struck first, flipping through the air, activating the red light device mid-spin. A pulse of crimson energy exploded outward, bathing the sky in burning light. Superman screamed, a sound the world would never forget. His powers faltered, eyes dimming, flight failing. He hit the rooftop hard. Nightwing landed in front of him, breathing heavily. It doesn't have to end like this. But Superman wasn't done. Even weakened, he was still the Man of Steel. He grabbed Nightwing by the collar, slamming him into the ground. "You think I'm the enemy?" he growled. "You think I don't care? Then prove it," Nightwing hissed. "Let it go." For a moment, just a heartbeat, Superman hesitated. The red light energy burned around them, flickering in and out. Then something inside Clark broke. He stood up slowly, eyes filled with tears and fury. "You want to see how far I'll go?" He clapped his hands together. The shockwave shattered the device. The sky went black, and with his strength returning, he looked down at Nightwing. "This world doesn't deserve your mercy, Dick." That line hit harder than the blow that followed. Superman's punch sent Nightwing flying across the rooftop, armor cracking, blood on his lip. But even as he fell, he smiled. Because in that moment, Batman's backup plan kicked in. Phase 2. A burst of blue light erupted from the shadows. Cyborg, connected remotely, hacked into the Fortress network. Every file, every surveillance feed, every piece of Superman's New Order project broadcasted live to the world. Millions saw the truth. Superman's empire, his control systems, his private prisons. And suddenly, the savior looked like a dictator. Superman turned, realizing what had happened. And for the first time in years, he looked afraid. "You exposed me," he whispered. "No." Nightwing coughed, forcing himself up. "You did that yourself." The rage in Superman's eyes could have ignited the sky. He hovered above the city, fists clenched, torn between vengeance and guilt. Then, without another word, he was gone, soaring into the clouds, leaving nothing but thunder in his wake. Down below, Batman stepped from the shadows, helping Nightwing to his feet. "You did good," he said. Nightwing winced. "I didn't win, Bruce." Batman nodded. "No, but you reminded him he could lose." For the next few days, the world buzzed with debates, protests, and fear. Was Superman still a hero? Or had the last son of Krypton finally become the world's greatest threat? And in the quiet corners of the Watchtower, the League wondered what would happen next. Because when a god bleeds, others start to question their faith. And deep down, everyone knew this wasn't over. Not even close. Because Superman wasn't gone. He was regrouping, rebuilding. And next time, he wouldn't hold back. The world was holding its breath. Superman had disappeared. Governments were panicking. The Justice League was fractured beyond repair. And Nightwing, broken ribs, sleepless nights, haunted eyes, was the man everyone turned to. He didn't want the attention. He didn't want the fame. All he wanted was to make sure Clark Kent never crossed that final line. But deep down, he knew the day would come when he'd have to face him again. And when it did, it would be the day one of them didn't walk away. It started with a tremor, a low, rumbling vibration that rolled across Metropolis, shaking glass and setting off alarms. Then came the light, a golden beam from the clouds, cutting through the sky like divine fire. He was back. Superman descended into the city, cape tattered, eyes burning brighter than ever. But this wasn't the same man who'd left. This was something else. Colder. Sharper. Resolved. Every news feed lit up. Every hero in the world held their breath. Because Superman had declared one message, broadcasted across the planet. The era of chaos is over. From this day forward, there will be peace. My peace. In Gotham, Batman stood silent before a monitor, jaw clenched. Nightwing entered behind him, still bandaged. He's doing it, Dick said. He's really doing it. Bruce didn't respond. He just stared at the feed, Superman hovering over the United Nations building, dozens of drones circling him like mechanical angels. You train me to fight monsters, Nightwing whispered. But what do you do when the monster is your friend? Batman finally turned. You stop him, because no one else will. And so, Nightwing did the unthinkable. He went alone. No army, no gadgets, just his suit, his Eskrima sticks, and that stubborn fire that even Bruce admired, the one that refused to give up, no matter how impossible the odds. He landed on the rooftop across from the UN, watching Superman address the world. Fear will no longer rule your lives, Superman said. I will. Nightwing's voice cut through the comm system. Then you've already lost. Superman turned. For a moment, the city seemed to freeze. Pedestrians stopped. Helicopters hovered midair. The world was about to witness something it never thought it would see again. Superman vs. Nightwing, Round 2. Superman sighed. You should have stayed down, Dick. Nightwing smiled faintly. Yeah, I get that a lot. Then, before Superman could blink, Nightwing threw a flash grenade, not light, but sound. A shriek pitched perfectly to disrupt Kryptonian hearing. Superman winced, eyes flaring, but Dick was already moving. He swung, rolled, hit pressure points, targeting muscle clusters Bruce had identified years ago. Every hit was precise, calculated, hopeless. Superman barely flinched. But that wasn't the point. Nightwing was stalling. He'd uploaded a virus, courtesy of Oracle, into the UN broadcast, transmitting live to every screen. His voice echoed across the world. This isn't peace, he said. It's control. And if we let even Superman cross this line, then we don't deserve heroes. The crowd below started chanting. Not in anger. In defiance. Stand down, Superman. Let him go. Justice, not fear. It hit Clark like a bullet. Those voices. The people he'd sworn to protect, turning against him. Nightwing saw the flicker of doubt in his eyes. That last bit of humanity fighting its way out. And he took the chance. He stepped closer, chest heaving, voice low but steady. Clark, listen to me. You're not a god. You're a farm boy from Kansas. The world doesn't need your power. It needs your heart. Superman's fist trembled. You could almost hear his heartbeat through the silence. For one breath, it looked like he might stop, might surrender. Then a sniper round cracked the air. From a distant rooftop, an anti-Superman militia, desperate and stupid, fired. The bullet bounced off Superman harmlessly, but it grazed Nightwing. Just a flesh wound. But the sound, the blood, it shattered the moment. Superman's eyes went red. Enough, he roared. He unleashed a wave of heat vision across the skyline, controlled but devastating, disarming the militia instantly. The city screamed. The world watched in horror. Nightwing struggled to his feet, voice hoarse. Clark, stop. Please. Superman turned, still shaking with rage. I can't lose another life, Dick. Not Lois. Not you. Not anyone. Nightwing stepped closer, pressing a hand to his chest. Then trust them to live without you. And that broke him. Superman dropped to his knees, the light fading from his eyes. He looked lost, terrified, human. For the first time in years, Clark Kent cried. Nightwing caught him as he fell, lowering the most powerful being on Earth like a wounded friend. The world watched in silence, no longer seeing gods or soldiers, but two men bound by grief, hope, and impossible choices. Days passed. Superman turned himself involuntarily to the League. He agreed to step down, to rebuild trust, not control. Nightwing visited him at the Watchtower containment chamber. No chains. Just clear walls and quiet light. Clark smiled faintly. You saved me. Nightwing shook his head. No, Clark. You saved yourself. I just reminded you who you were. When Nightwing left, Batman was waiting at the docking bay. Did he say anything? Bruce asked. Dick smirked. Yeah. He said thank you. Batman nodded. Then maybe there's still hope. Nightwing looked out the viewport. At Earth, glowing beneath the stars. Hope's fragile, he said quietly. But as long as it's still burning, we'll keep fighting for it. And somewhere deep within the fortress, Superman sat alone, staring at a picture of Lois, fingers tracing her smile. He whispered, they were right. Then looked toward the Earth he nearly lost. The Man of Steel had been broken. But sometimes, you have to break a god, to remind him how to be human.